Have you ever eaten the exact same meal 2 nights in a row and felt completely fine the first night, and then the second morning you wake up and you're bloated, uncomfortable, and you couldn't go to the bathroom? Same food, same kitchen, completely different results. That's actually not random, and it may not be the food. What's on your plate may not actually be the issue. Hey, I'm Erin Harner, Integrative Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, and I specialize in gut health. Over the last 16 years, I have helped hundreds of women get out of this exact cycle. So if your life revolves around kids, carpools, grandkids, zero predictable meal times, this is especially for you. Because what I'm going to show you here works inside the life you already have. Let's make your digestion predictable again. So here's something you probably already know. You have a circadian rhythm. It's your body's clock. It governs your sleep, your awake cycles, and it's driven primarily by light and darkness. And that's why jet lag hits so hard. But here's what most people, including most practitioners, don't ever talk about. Your gut has its own clock. And unlike your body's clock, which runs on light and darkness, your gut's clock runs on food, specifically when food arrives. Researchers actually have a name for when this gut clock gets disrupted. They call it gut jet lag. And it happens when your eating patterns are erratic enough that your gut's internal clock can't find its own rhythm. It doesn't know when to release enzymes. It doesn't know when to activate motility. It doesn't know when to prepare for digestion. And here's the thing that most people don't realize. Your gut isn't passive. It's anticipating. When you eat at consistent times, your gut actually starts preparing before the food arrives. Digestive enzymes, digestive hormones, motility signals. Your gut is literally setting the table before dinner even starts. But when your schedule is unpredictable, your gut is caught off guard every single time. And that's when symptoms start to feel completely random, because from your gut's perspective, they are. Now, this is something I want to talk about because it's something that gets almost no airtime and nobody's talking about it. And it's really important. And that's eating speed. When you eat fast, breakfast at your desk while answering emails, smoothie in the car on the way to school drop-off, dinner inhaled in 4 minutes because you have to be at the soccer field in 20. 3 things happen that directly tank your digestion. First, you swallow air. And swallowed air is one of the most immediate causes of bloating and also belching. It's not a sensitivity. It's not a reaction. You were just eating too fast and you swallowed a bunch of air in the process. The second thing, you don't chew enough. Digestion actually starts in your mouth and in your brain. Chewing is also the first mechanical breakdown of food, and it's where enzyme production starts, and it also triggers enzyme production downstream. Skip that step, and you're sending poorly broken down food into a gut that's not fully prepared for it. One of my mentors used to say, your stomach doesn't have teeth. Your mouth does. We have to chew. And third, this one matters so much because when you're rushing, your nervous system is in a stress state. Sympathetic mode, fight or flight, and digestion runs on parasympathetic, rest and digest. These two states cannot fully operate at the same time. We need to be in rest and digest in order to properly digest our food. When your body thinks it's running from something, it literally downregulates digestion and redirects gut function and resources away from digestion. So you can eat the most gut-friendly meal in the world, and if you're standing over your kitchen counter, you're stressed and you're not chewing your food, your gut is not going to receive it the way it should. So I worked with a client about a year ago who was the perfect example of this, doing everything right on paper. She was eating whole foods, she was eating tons of fiber, staying hydrated, no gluten, and she was still bloated. She could not figure out what was going on. She still had constipation. She was going to the bathroom 2, maybe 3 times a week. And this was a cycle, and it repeated itself every single week. She'd feel a little better, and then she'd get worse. A little better, and then a little worse. When I looked at her actual day and what she was doing, not just what she was eating, but what she was actually doing, there are a number of things I found. She had a smoothie in the car on the way to work. She had lunch on her desk with her eyes on 2 screens, and dinner most nights eaten in the bleachers at a soccer game or in between dropping kids off at ballet. She wasn't sitting down for a single meal throughout the day where her body and her mind were actually focused on eating. And I want to be really clear, this was not a discipline problem. This was a full life. This was a mom doing everything for everybody else. The issue wasn't actually her choices. It was that no one actually showed her how to give her gut and her body the signals it needed inside the life she was actually living. When we started slowing down her eating, sitting down, actually chewing, creating even a few minutes of intentionality around meals, her bloating reduced considerably with only that change in just a couple weeks. Her motility improved. She started going to the bathroom more consistently. Same foods, different pace, completely different gut. We started giving her body the cues it needed and the clues that digestion and food was coming. So this is also why the Monday bloat is so real and so confusing for so many of my clients. So your digestion may be fine during the week, and then you wake up Monday morning and you feel backed up and bloated. What's going on? And you start mentally scanning everything you ate over the weekend, trying to figure out what went wrong. But it wasn't the food, it was the schedule. Maybe on the weekend you slept in, you ate brunch instead of breakfast, maybe you skipped lunch, maybe you stayed up late Friday and Saturday night, you ate dinner at a different time, you've disrupted your rhythm, and your gut spent all week rebuilding. Your gut clock, which was finally starting to know it was coming, is now confused. This is weekend gut jet lag. And this is actually the exact same mechanism behind travel constipation. If anybody's experienced constipation when you travel, go to a different time zone, not the different foods, the disrupted routine, the time zone shift, the complete break from the normal rhythm, gut jet lag. Okay, and I want to address smoothies because I get asked about this all the time, and personally I drink one almost every day for breakfast. So let me be clear, smoothies are not the problem, but chugging a smoothie is not the same as eating. When there's no chewing involved, there's no mechanical signal to your brain and to your gut that a meal is actually happening. If you're not smelling the food and you're not experiencing the food, the digestive cascade doesn't fully activate. You've consumed calories without completing the signal chain to tell your gut to start working. So what I personally do is when I have a smoothie in the morning for breakfast, I treat it like a meal. I sit down, I sip it slowly. I actually try and chew it a little bit with my mouth, even though it's a liquid. And I often pair it with something that I actually have to chew. Maybe a few fresh berries, something with texture, just to give my body the signal that food is coming and it's arriving now. It sounds almost too simple, but that signal matters way more than most people realize. I want to share something with you that happened to me personally recently because this isn't just theory, it's something that shows up in my own body too. So a few weeks ago, I had one of those days where I slept in, I ate breakfast late, I missed lunch, I had a snack mid-afternoon, and just a completely off rhythm day. I didn't think much of it. And the next morning, my digestion was noticeably off. And here's what I want you to take from that. Not that one imperfect day destroys everything. That's not the case here at all. It doesn't. Life is unpredictable. Kids get sick, schedules fall apart. Some weeks are just like pure chaos. What it showed me is that when you're building consistent rhythm, your body becomes sensitive to changes in that rhythm, which means that it also recovers much faster when things go sideways. The next day, I was right back on track. That's the goal. It's not a perfect schedule. It's a strong enough baseline that your gut can handle the messy days without completely falling apart. So here's what I want you to walk away with. You don't need a new food protocol. You don't need to cut anything else out of your diet. And you probably don't need a perfect schedule either, because that's not realistic and it's not the point. The point is rhythm. Your gut needs better rhythm and better cues. The two biggest levers you can pull in this regard are pace and pattern. First, pace. Pace means slowing down your eating, even by a few minutes. If you just sit down and you chew more intentionally, if you drink a smoothie every morning, treat it like a meal. Sit with it. Slow down. Look out and smell the flowers. Notice that you're eating. Give your body the signal that food is actually arriving and it's coming now. Get ready. The second lever we can pull here is the pattern. Try eating within similar timing windows each day. Not rigid, but maybe 30 to 45 minutes, either direction. Not obsessively, but consistently enough that your gut clock can start anticipating when food is coming. Remember, your gut clock is set on your meals, not on daylight and nighttime like our body's circadian rhythm is. We want your gut clock to start anticipating that food is coming. Get ready for digestion, and we're going to have a lot less bloating and a lot better motility. Consistent enough that the gut can start to set the table before dinner. What we're looking for here in the whole framework is rhythm without rigidity. And it works inside a real life, a busy life, a full life, a life that doesn't look the same 2 days in a row, because frankly, that's reality. That's my reality, and that's the reality for many of my clients. If you want to go deeper on exactly where your digestion is breaking down, I made a free training called Still Bloated and Backed Up, and I'd love for you to check it out. It walks you through the 3 gut rhythm mistakes that I see women making all the time that are likely keeping you stuck too, and exactly what to do about them. The link is at the top of the description. And if you know someone who's been doing everything right but still struggling with digestive issues, send this video to them. This might be exactly what they're missing. And if you want to keep going, watch this one next.